The restaurant was buzzing with the usual clinking of glasses, murmurs of conversation, and soft music. But all Emma could hear was her pounding heart. She smoothed her dress nervously, double-checked her reflection in the window, and tried to push down the gnawing fear in her stomach. Tonight was supposed to be her fresh start, a blind date arranged by a friend who swore he was different. But as she scanned the room, Emma's worst fears unfolded. Her date took one look at her, smirked, and muttered something under his breath. Before walking straight out the door, Emma sat frozen, cheeks burning as humiliation washed over her. She wasn't a stranger to rejection. Her weight had always made her the target of cruel comments and dismissive stares. But she had convinced herself this time would be different. She was kind, funny, loyal. Wasn't that what really mattered? As she sat alone at the table, clutching the water glass with trembling fingers, memories of all the times she had been overlooked because of her body came rushing back. High school dances where no one asked her to dance, job interviews where the panel avoided eye contact, even family dinners where relatives whispered about her weight as if she couldn't hear. Yet, Emma wasn't weak. She worked hard, balanced 2 jobs, and supported her younger sister through college. But tonight, the rejection cut deeper. It wasn't just about romance. It was about feeling invisible in a world that judged her worth by the size of her waistline. As Emma debated whether to leave and cry in her car, something unexpected happened. At the table across from hers, a man in a tailored suit put down his menu and glanced at her. He had a presence, calm, confident, and observant. Unlike the others, in the restaurant he didn't look away when their eyes met. He noticed the way she was swallowing back tears and sitting stiffly, as if bracing herself against invisible blows. Emma quickly lowered her gaze, embarrassed. But soon, the waiter came to her table with a dish she hadn't ordered. Confused, she shook her head, but the waiter smiled. Compliments of the gentleman over there. She looked up and saw the man give her a reassuring nod. Minutes later, he stood, walked over, and asked if he could sit down. Emma hesitated. Her guard was high, built from years of ridicule. But something in his tone wasn't pity, it was respect. The man introduced himself simply as Daniel. Their conversation started with small talk, food, books, and travel. But Emma noticed something rare. He wasn't distracted, he wasn't checking his phone, and he wasn't staring at her body with judgment. He was listening, really listening to her words. As the evening unfolded, Emma found herself laughing, her shoulders relaxing, her voice steady again. For the first time that night, she wasn't thinking about her weight. She was just being herself, and then came the twist. Daniel was not just any diner. He was the CEO of one of the city's largest companies, a man who surely had countless people vying for his attention. Yet here he was, choosing to spend his evening talking with her, a stranger who had just been publicly humiliated. Emma couldn't understand why. But then Daniel leaned forward and said something that changed everything. "You know, I watched that man walk out on you, and all I could think was how blind he must be. Confidence, kindness, intelligence, those aren't measured on a scale. I built my entire company on people who see beyond appearances. And from what I've heard tonight, you're exactly the kind of person this world needs more of." Emma's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness this time, but of relief. For once, someone saw her. Really saw her. By the end of the night, Emma wasn't just smiling, she was glowing. The sting of rejection had been replaced with something far more powerful: hope. Daniel didn't ask for her number out of charity or offer her a job out of pity. He treated her like an equal, a human being worthy of respect and admiration. In the weeks that followed, Emma carried that moment with her. She started walking taller, speaking up more, and reminding herself daily that her value wasn't tied to her appearance. That one evening became a turning point, not because a CEO validated her, but because it reminded her of a truth she had always known deep down. Worth isn't about size, it's about heart. Her blind date had rejected her. Yes, but life had given her something far greater. The reminder that kindness exists, that humanity isn't lost, and that sometimes the people we least expect can restore our faith in ourselves. Emma's story spread beyond that night, through her friendships, her work, and eventually, her community. She became a voice for others who felt unseen, teaching them to find strength in who they were, not who the world told them to be. And maybe, just maybe, her story will remind us all of one simple truth. In a world obsessed with appearances, the greatest beauty is kindness. So the next time you catch yourself judging someone by how they look, pause and think, what if their story could change yours?